if you can hear me. Please do confirm that you can hear me. I think it's from your end. Please confirm that you can hear me, everyone. You can type yes in the chat room if you can hear me. Type yes in the chat room if you can hear me, please. Beautiful. So I think it's from your end, Ibukun. I think the audio problem is from your end. Let me type it so that Ibukun can identify that. Okay, Ola, please communicate with Ibukun to let her know or him that the audio is from her or from his end. Good. So we're talking about business analysis as a practice, and it is to enable change within an enterprise. So most times a business analyst is called upon when there's a problem. So the business analyst is called upon to identify what that problem is, to diagnose what that problem is, and not just to diagnose what the problem is, to also recommend a change, or what we call to recommend a solution to that problem. To recommend a solution. So the business analyst is called upon to recognize what the problem is and recommend a solution to that problem. Now, that solution that is recommended to the business is normally developed by a project team, and that's where project management comes in. So the business analyst is, or analysis is, the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining or identifying what the business needs are, which is what the problem is, and then recommending a solution to that problem to deliver value to the stakeholders. That is what business analysis is. So business analysis actually enables an enterprise to articulate the needs, the rationale for change, and to design as well as describe solutions that can deliver that value. The bottom line is that value is delivered at the end of the day, which is what the stakeholders acknowledge or recognize as a solution to the problem they've identified from the beginning. Now, business analysis as a practice, we must understand that every other practice has specializations. Also, business analysis as a practice has various areas of specialization. Just like you have the medical practice. The medical practice, you'll notice that you have different areas of specialization. Even though you function as a medical doctor, there are different areas of specialization. You can actually practice medicine either as a gynecologist or as a pediatrician or as a oncologist or as a dentist or as an optician. These are different areas of practice in the medical profession. Just also like in the law profession, there are different areas of practice that you can either practice as a property lawyer or a criminal lawyer or a family lawyer, and so on and so forth. So also in the practice of business analysis, there are different areas of specialization. So we have three major areas. The first area we call the strategy analyst, the strategy analyst. So the strategy analyst in this area, which you see, is normally pre-project. It means when you hear the word project, is the creation of the solution recommended by the business analyst. The creation of the solution is a project. So you'll notice that the business analyst who is specialized in strategy comes in to first diagnose what the business problem is, identify what the business needs to move it from its current state to a future state. It wants to change. So the business analyst is a change agent to enable change happen where the business moves from its current state to a more desirable state. So in order to achieve that, the business analyst will come in to diagnose what the problem is, identify what the issue is, what the challenge is, what the concern is, what the setback is. So this level of expertise is the strategy analyst. So in a strategy session, he sits down to think and look forward to see what are the likely things that could move this business from its current state to a more desirable state. So the strategy analyst is the practice of a business analyst in specialization, where he diagnoses or defines what the business need is and recommends a solution. Now, the next level of expertise or specialization of the business analyst is what we popularly call RAD, which is the requirements analyst. The requirements analyst, which comes up with a definition and design of what is required to move the business from its current state to a future state. This specialization, we call the requirements analyst, is where he provides support for the project. So the project is the creation of the recommended solution by the strategy analyst. So the strategy analyst, that area of specialization, identifies what the problem is and recommends a solution to that problem. So the solution recommended is not developed by a project manager. Now, development is based on the methodology deployed in managing a project. So if you are managing a project, it means if you are using a agile methodology, that means you are developing a solution. If you are using a waterfall methodology, it means you are replicating a solution. If you are using a hybrid methodology, it means you are implementing a solution. So there's implementation of the recommended solution by the strategy analyst. There's the development of it. There's the replication of it. Either of this is done by project manager, depending on the methodology the project manager decides to adopt. The one who provides support in the creation of this solution or the development of it or the implementation of it or the replication of it is the requirements analyst. He's a business analyst who specializes in this area. Then we have what is called the solution evaluationist. So the solution evaluation, this business analyst who specializes in this area, is to ensure that the solution that has been developed by the project manager is actually addressing the identified problem by the strategy analyst. So the strategy analyst, they identified the problem, recommended a solution. The solution was not developed, but the business analyst who is specialized in solution evaluation is to evaluate whether the solution that was developed is now really addressing the identified problem. If it is not, they have to go back to the drawing board. They have to go back to square one. So this area of specialization, you find a lot in NGOs, those who do a lot of monitoring and solution evaluation. You find them a lot in the government parastatals. Now, the people who do strategy analysis, you find a lot in the management consulting industry. So you have a lot of management consultants like the Philip Consulting, the Accenture, the PricewaterhouseCoopers. You find a lot of the management consultants, their specialization is strategy and analysis. Then, of course, when it comes to people on projects, when you find a lot of projects, you find a lot of requirements analysts there. This specialization, because they provide support for projects. So you find them a lot around projects more often. So, but these are the areas of specialization. These areas of specializations will require you to actually carry out certain tasks. So when it comes to the chapter one of the business analysis, a body of knowledge captures the definition of what business analysis is. And as it captures it, it also helps you see that you must be able to carry out certain tasks in having to manage these areas of any business as you analyze it. Now, chapters 1 captures all of the definitions, the meanings of some of the terminologies we will come across. Chapters 2 also captures the concept, the basic concept. So when we talk about chapter 2, you will get to see that it's talking also about the basic concepts, the business analysis, key concepts that you will come across. So because some of the terminologies you find in your industry, even though they sound similar in the business analysis profession, the meaning might be considerably different. So you must understand the concepts and the meanings as it relates to the business analysis profession. All that is captured in chapters 2. Now, from chapters 3 to chapters 8 of the business analysis body of knowledge, it acknowledges that in managing or analyzing a given business, there are 6 areas you must have knowledge of. You must draw knowledge in analyzing a given business from 6 areas. There are 6 knowledge areas, starting with the business analysis planning and monitoring. Now, that is from chapters 3. So chapters 3 of the business analysis body of knowledge captures the first knowledge area where a business analyst will need to draw knowledge from in order to analyze a given business. It captures the first knowledge area, which is the business analysis, planning, and monitoring. Chapters 4 captures the second knowledge area, which is called the elicitation and collaboration. Chapters 5 captures the third knowledge area, which is the requirements lifecycle management. Chapter 6 captures the fourth knowledge area, which is strategy analysis. Chapters 7 captures the fifth knowledge area, which is called requirements analysis and design definition. And finally, chapters 8, which is solution evaluation, is the sixth knowledge area that the business analyst draws knowledge from in order to analyze a given business. So there are 6 areas that every business analyst needs to draw knowledge from in order to analyze a given business. Now, I want to also encourage that for those of us who might be interested in listening in on this recording of today's session again, you can actually access this recording if you click on the link in the in the chat room. It will take you into a WhatsApp group where you will get the opportunity to actually receive the recordings of today's session, as well as the slides that we're covering. So I will encourage that you click in the WhatsApp group and you can access, some of the materials as it relates to this session and even information as regards the full program. So I want to encourage you, click on that WhatsApp group in the chat room. It will take you into that link rather in the chat room. It will take you into that WhatsApp group. Good. So all of these 6 areas are the areas the business analyst, regardless of the area of specialization, they draw knowledge from each of these areas, regardless of the area of specialization. Whether you are a strategy analyst, whether you're a requirements analyst, whether you are specialized in solution evaluation, you will draw knowledge from each of these areas, these 6 areas, to be able to analyze a given business. Now, in having to draw knowledge from each of these areas, we must also recognize that this knowledge, these areas that you are drawing knowledge from, you require certain competencies to draw knowledge from these areas. We call them underlying competencies. This is captured in chapters 9 of the business analysis body of knowledge. It's captured in chapters 9, the underlying competencies. When we say competencies, because you can't just draw knowledge, it requires skills to draw knowledge. It requires competence to draw knowledge to analyze a given business. The underlying competencies that we have, starting with, first, you must have analytical thinking skills. You must also have problem-solving skills. There's no way we're talking about business analysis and you cannot analyze something. So there are different analytical thinking skills you must have and problem-solving, because the idea here is to be able to identify what the business problem is and recommend a solution. So if you are going to be talking about solution, you must be able to solve the problem. So problem-solving skills is one of the underlying competencies you must have. You must also have behavioral characteristics. You must have business knowledge. You must know about business. You must have an understanding of how businesses work. You must also have communication skills, because you are going to be engaging stakeholders. You're going to be eliciting information from different stakeholders. So you will need communication skills. You need interaction skills. You need to use certain tools and technology. These are all the underlying competencies you need to have in order to be able to analyze a given business. But when it comes to these various areas, there are tools you need to also use in order to be able to carry out certain tasks in the course of analyzing a given business. There are certain tools. There are 3 categories of these tools, and these categories of these tools are captured in the chapters 9.6 of the Bible Guide. Chapters 9.6. It talks about the 3 categories of the underlying of the tools that you require. We have what is called the office productivity tool. Some of us might be familiar with tools like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel. We also have business analysis tools and technology. Some of these tools we use for business analysis are things like Confluence, Jira, Asana, Trello. There are so many of them. There are also communication tools like which we're using now is Zoom. There's Microsoft Teams, there's PowerPoint presentation, that a lot of communication tools that you also get to learn on how to use as you analyze a given business. So there are 3 categories of tools that you need to actually use in drawing knowledge with the competencies you have. Remember, there are 6 underlying competencies that you need to have and to draw knowledge from 6 areas. So these are the tools you need to use. Now, when it comes to the tools, many people also need to know how to use these tools. So there are techniques in the use of these tools in order to draw knowledge. There are 50 techniques. This is captured in the second to the last chapter, which is chapters 10. There are 50 techniques, and the 50 of these techniques, as you can see, if you look at the screen, you see that it talks about, for example, acceptance and evaluation criteria. That's the technique, 10.1, 10.2, backlog management, 10.3, balanced scorecard. There are some of these techniques some of us are even familiar with, like brainstorming. That's a technique. And it goes on until you get to 10.50, telling us there are 50 techniques, like workshop, for example. That's a tool. Sorry, that's a technique, which you actually need to use to be able to analyze a given business. So there are 50 techniques. There are 6 areas you need to draw knowledge from. There are 3 categories of tools. There are 6 underlying competencies. And in having to analyze a business, finally, there's the chapter 11, which talks about the perspective in which you view the business. So there are 5 perspectives in the way you view a business as you analyze it. There are 5 perspectives in the way you view a business as you analyze it. One of the first, is the agile perspective. Agile talks about being flexible, being able to respond very quickly to changes. So agile perspective is one of the perspectives. Business intelligence perspective, information technology perspective, business architecture perspective, business process management perspective. Now, in the course of this entire program, we're going to be covering quite a lot. We're going to be looking at business process management, which has to do with Lean, Six Sigma, process, improvement tools, and like that. We're also going to talk about information technology perspective. We're going to talk about information technology service management, ITIL. We're going to also talk about project management and its methodologies like Agile and Waterfall. We're going to talk about the frameworks of Agile from the Agile perspective. We're going to talk about Scrum and its other frameworks like Kanban, like Lean, DSDM, FDD, and the likes. In the course, is a very robust and highly informative and insightful program. It's a program you don't want to miss. I want to encourage that you enroll for the full program. Normally, the entire program runs, in the course of 4 Saturdays. So you want to be part of this. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Be part of the full session. So even after going through all of this, you can see there are 11 chapters, which covers the entire program. And each of these, guess what? There are tasks that will be carried out in the course of analyzing a given business. There are 30 tasks that you are going to be carrying out. So in the course of drawing knowledge from each of these 6 areas, there are 30 tasks in all that you'll be doing. So I've said so much, but remember, this is a highly insightful program that teaches you on how to recognize what the business problem is, recommend a solution to that problem, design and draw how this solution will be actually developed and implemented, and then evaluate the effectiveness of this solution, how it's able to impact, how it's able to change the business strata, the business direction, and bring it to a more desirable state. So it's a highly insightful and wonderful program. I want to encourage that you be part of this, and you'll be glad you did. For many of us who are actually looking at being part of this, I want to encourage that you enroll for the full program.